all this money going to the regional peacekeepers where the county gets to decide what organizations can be part of the peacekeepers. So he's working for King County. He recommends his buddy's organization should be part of the regional peacekeepers, which is getting millions of dollars in taxpayer funds. And then as his price for getting his buddy this lucrative government contract, he gets kickbacks to the tune of $323,000. This segment is brought to you by Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Some patients like me can lose 20 to 30 pounds in a month or two. Schedule your free 15-minute consultation today at eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Kudos to KUOW for this reporting. This is a topic they've been covering pretty extensively for a while now and exposing issues on. So there is an initiative that was born out of this racial justice awakening in 2020, etc. So you remember the what was happening in 2020, right? So you had basically the city of Seattle, all these things going on here, people taking to the streets, protesting against the police, protesting for racial justice. And what did leaders start doing? Well, they were just doling out money, millions of dollars, to all these entities, basically to get them, it was like bribes. Like, can you give us back the police precinct that you took over? And we'll give you like $10 million and you can hire all your friends and work on racial justice issues and we won't have any oversight. You know, they hired Andre Taylor as the street czar. Was the street czar? Like they gave this guy a bunch of money, gave him a beautiful office that I visited, a beautiful office with sweeping views in the government building in downtown Seattle, to be the street czar and connect police to black communities. He never did anything. And then they quietly canceled the contract, hoping people didn't pay attention. But that's what this was. It's like they were like, let's please all of these groups and do all these things by handing out all of this taxpayer money to these entities that say they're going to help, you know, with racial justice, or they're going to help reduce gun violence, but we're never actually going to follow up and make sure that that money was well spent, because that would be offensive, right? We're going to give them, you know, $10 million in taxpayer funds, but it's for racial justice. So you guys, we can't look into that. You can't look into it too hard. So one of the groups that Dow Constantine, of course, because he's nothing if not a champion of racial justice, he came out and wanted to fund is the Regional Peacekeepers Collective. So the idea was that he would give this entity a bunch of taxpayer funds and they would be regional peacekeepers, and they would intervene in the lives of young black men and try to prevent them from getting into a gang life or whatever it is. Well, it didn't go very well. This from KUOW. Secret payments and damning audit. King County's youth violence prevention effort has been mirrored in scandal. So let's just read a little bit from this KUOW story. 3 years in, corruption has plagued the Regional Peacekeepers Collective. The coalition of nonprofits awarded roughly $16 million in county contracts to prevent and eliminate youth gun violence. These ongoing issues raise questions about how the county oversees millions of dollars meant to support and protect primarily black youth. Goes on to say cracks showed early when the head of one organization was revealed to be a twice convicted sex offender who faked his social work credentials. The county admitted they hadn't even run a background check on youth outreach workers. Great. Yeah. You have youth outreach workers. You're giving millions of dollars to interrupt youth violence, but you didn't think to run them through a background check to see if they might be the best person to try to interrupt youth violence. Great job, King County. Let's read on again from KUOW. Last year, the former finance director at the lead of Peacekeepers nonprofit was convicted of embezzling nearly $900,000 from the organization. All right, so we've got unchecked sex offenders, someone embezzling $900,000 from the organization, and then the latest from KUOW. In the latest revelation, investigators found that a county staffer secretly received at least $323,000 from an organization that he had recommended as a peacekeepers subcontractor and whose outreach work he oversaw. The definition of corruption, I hope that person goes to prison. Think about that. King County employee. You've got all this money going to the regional peacekeepers where the county gets to decide what organizations can be part of the peacekeepers. So he's working for King County. He recommends his buddy's organization should be part of the regional peacekeepers, which is getting millions of dollars in taxpayer funds. And then as his price for getting his buddy this lucrative government contract, he gets kickbacks to the tune of $323,000. And is the peace being kept? Of course the peace isn't being kept. Homicides are up. Instances of shots fired are up. A lot of the homicide victims are young black men. A lot of the homicide suspects are young black men. So this $16 million that Dow Constantine gifted because he wanted to appear woke and in step with the racial justice movement at the time, it was just doled out to people who said they were going to help young black kids stay out of a life of crime, and instead they committed crimes themselves. Instead, they embezzled money. Instead, they got kickbacks and taxpayer funds. And that's because our government has no interest in overseeing the money that it's giving to these nonprofit organizations, many of whom are led and staffed by their friends and their allies and their voters and their donors. And this is just proof of that. And again, it's not coming from me. It's coming from KUOW, probably the farthest left news outlet in the city. And again, credit to them for staying on this. And, the reason I think why KUOW, I don't believe that KUOW is doing this reporting because they genuinely care about wasted taxpayer funds. I just don't believe that. But one of the things that you can glean from it is they're concerned about money that's supposed to support and protect black youth being misspent. So fine, I'll take it. I wish they would care more broadly about all the areas that there's government waste, like in the homeless industrial complex and all of these things. But if they care about this because it's money specifically that's supposed to help and support black youth, by all means, this is some good reporting. And they want that money to actually be helping black youth, to actually prevent young black men from shooting and killing people and throwing their lives away, or from being the victims of a gang shooting. And if that money is supposed to go to that, that's what I want it to go to too. Same with the homelessness complex. That's what I always say. If you actually care about the homeless, shouldn't you be demanding that every dollar is being spent helping the homeless? Instead, they're like, no, we don't need any accountability. The homeless industrial complex isn't real. The King County Regional Homeless Authority is doing great work. Let's keep giving them all this money that they're just pissing away. And here's the thing, and here's where the county shows its incompetence. You've got county government, just government in general, is absolutely incompetent. There's some corruption woven through there. They're incompetent. The nonprofits are corrupt. So you've got incompetence overseeing corruption. And the taxpayers lose when that happens. But I was going back through when they announced this program, there was a PowerPoint presentation that was presented to the King County Council about this Peacekeepers Collective. And one of the PowerPoint slides that I saw was evaluation plan and metrics. So essentially, how are we going to hold them accountable? Which should be built into any government contract. What is the accountability? What is the metric of success if we're going to give somebody $16 million, right? And here's the problem. Their metrics, their evaluation, how they're determining whether these peacekeepers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. Guess who reports on their success? Guess who reports to the county on what they're doing? Well, it's the regional peacekeepers. Literally, they're relying on this corrupt organization that has the two-time sex offender, that has the person embezzling money, that has the person who's given kickbacks to his buddy who got him the contract. They're the ones who have to report quarterly their metrics to the county. That's why they're not being held accountable, because they're tasked with holding themselves accountable, and they're never going to do that if they're engaged in criminal behavior because they're enriching themselves on the taxpayer teat. The nonprofits in this realm are corrupt, and this isn't the only one. A story we never really covered at the time because we kind of missed our window to cover it, but I felt like we should bring it back up today, is that Seattle School Violence Program coordinator, the leader of it, who was indicted in a fentanyl trafficking ring. Marty Jackson, indicted on federal charges related to drug trafficking and money laundering. She oversaw the Boys and Girls Club's Southeast Network Safety Net program and had been contracted to what? Provide violence intervention specialists at Garfield and Rainier Beach High School. Yet she's involved in one of the most violent trades you can be involved in, the trafficking of fentanyl into our communities, which has killed countless people. No oversight. Of course not. Anything involving race, gender, equity, no oversight, because we can't give them oversight. We can't audit the program that has to do with equity. We'll look racist. We can't accuse them of wasting money or stealing money. We'll look racist. It's like, no, you know what? I can help you with that problem. I can help you avoid the perception that you're somehow racist by wanting to look into the spending of an organization led by Black and brown people. You audit every organization. You have comprehensive, routine, outside audits conducted of all of these organizations that are getting millions in taxpayer funds to solve problems that they never solve. And you know what the biggest indicator, what do they call it? The biggest metric to prove whether they're successful? You know what it is? Because you don't need them to report all this to you, right? It's, are they solving the problem that you're paying them millions of dollars to solve? Simple. They're supposed to reduce gang activity among youth. Has gang activity among youth gone down? Has gang violence gone down? Have gang homicides gone down? Have gang shootings gone down? No. Well, I guess the regional peacekeepers isn't working out so well, is it? Not keeping the peace, is it? Is that so freaking hard? Homelessness, geez. Is the King County Regional Homelessness Authority succeeding? Well, instead of a long list of metrics to determine whether they're doing their jobs, let's just ask the question. Is there more homeless people today than when they started? Check. Like 23% more. So something tells me that's the only metric you really need. The question is, how many years and how many millions of dollars are you willing to see pissed away when they aren't achieving their objective? And in fact, the objective they're supposed to achieve is actually getting worse and going in the wrong direction. How many years do you let pass by before you pull the plug? I would say it's well past time to pull the plug on the peacekeepers. And one thing I want to note on that, Dow Constantine, KOW, reached out to Dow Constantine. I want to see what he told them. Hold on a second. Hold on one second. I've got it here. Oh, here it is. Yeah. Executive Constantine repeatedly declined KOW's request to be interviewed. So an organization he championed, I'm such a great guy. Oh, I'm helping the Black and brown people. I'm going to give millions of dollars and they're going to be peacekeepers, which is the job of the police, right? It's like, oh, wait, now a couple years later, someone's been arrested for embezzling. One of my county employees is getting kickbacks. One of the guys is a 2-time sex offender. Yeah, no comment. What a coward. That guy cannot leave office soon enough. But none of these issues are going to get better until more voters wake up to what we talk about with these industrial complexes, until what we talk about with the enrichment of nonprofits, the backdoor dealings, the payouts, and on top of that, some of the criminal activity that's going on. But I would argue even without the individual acts of criminal conduct by individuals, like the lady who's running the fentanyl trafficking ring, or the person who embezzled $900,000. Like, even if you take out those individual instances of criminals engaged in criminal behavior, you still have organizations and entities being funded by taxpayer dollars that are not achieving the objective that money is supposed to achieve. And that in and of itself, in my opinion, is corruption.